The sound reaches you first. Not traffic, not engines, not the constant hum of electricity. Instead, wood creaking under weight, distant hammering, animals shifting in narrow streets, voices layered and uneven, speaking different dialects, calling out goods, arguing over prices. You're standing in a European city, but not the one you know. There are no glass towers, no paved roads stretching clean and straight, no streetlights, no sewage systems hidden beneath your feet. This is Europe, around the year 1000. And despite what we imagine today, these cities are not empty ruins. They are alive, crowded, functional, and essential to survival. But they feel very different. To understand them, you have to forget the modern city. Because what made a city in the year 1000 was not size, or skyline, or population. It was function. In the modern world, a city is defined by millions of people, infrastructure, and industry. In the year 1000, a city might have only 10,000 inhabitants or even fewer, yet it could still be one of the most important places in an entire region. Cities like London, Paris, Cologne, and Milan were not massive urban centers. They were compact, often surrounded by walls, and deeply tied to trade routes, rivers, and religious authority. Take London, for example. After the collapse of Roman rule centuries earlier, the city had shrunk dramatically. The old Roman walls still stood, but much of the space inside them was underused. By 1000 AD, London was growing again, but slowly. Wooden houses filled the streets. Markets returned. Trade along the River Thames reconnected the city to wider networks, but it was still fragile. Paris was similar. Centered on the Ile de la Cité, it was a fortified island settlement, not yet the sprawling capital we know today. Viking raids in the 9th century had forced the city to defend itself repeatedly. Bridges were fortified, walls reinforced. By 1000, Paris was stable, but cautious. Cologne, on the Rhine, offered a different picture. It retained more of its Roman structure. Stone buildings, road layouts, and city walls continued to shape how people lived. Its location along a major river made it a hub for trade, connecting northern Europe to the interior. Even then, geography mattered. It always has. But perhaps the most striking contrast comes from Constantinople. While many Western cities had declined after the fall of the Roman Empire, Constantinople remained enormous. With a population likely in the hundreds of thousands, it dwarfed cities like London or Paris. Its massive walls protected it. Its harbors connected it to trade networks stretching across Europe, Asia, and Africa. It had running water systems, public baths, and organized markets. In many ways, it felt closer to a classical Roman city than a medieval one. This contrast reveals something important. There was no single medieval city experience. Where you lived shaped everything. Step into the streets of any of these cities, and the first thing you would notice is how narrow they are. Most roads are unpaved. In dry weather, they are dusty. In rain, they turn into mud. Buildings lean toward each other, sometimes so closely that the upper floors nearly touch. Many homes are made of wood, with thatched or wooden roofs. Stone is used but sparingly, and usually for churches, walls, or important structures. Fire is a constant threat. A single spark can destroy entire neighborhoods, and it often did. Sanitation is another shock. There are no underground sewage systems like modern cities. Waste is thrown into streets, pits, or nearby rivers. The smell is constant. Animals move freely, pigs, chickens, dogs, adding to the mess. Water is not always clean. Even in larger cities, access to fresh water can be limited. Wells exist, but contamination is common. Disease is part of life. Not always in the form of massive pandemics, but as a constant background risk. Infections, fevers, illnesses that today would be easily treated. Here, They are dangerous, sometimes fatal. But these cities are not just places of hardship. They are also places of opportunity. Markets are at the center of urban life. In London, traders bring wool, fish, and imported goods. In Paris, food, cloth, and tools are exchanged daily. In Cologne, long-distance trade brings goods from across Europe. Stalls line the streets. Voices compete. Bargaining is constant. Money exists, but barter is still common. Guilds are beginning to form. Craftsmen specialize. Blacksmiths, bakers, weavers, carpenters, each with their own role in the urban system. This specialization is what makes cities different from villages. In a village, most people produce their own food. In a city, you depend on others. Religion is everywhere. Churches dominate skylines not in height like modern skyscrapers, but in importance. They are centers of community, authority, and daily rhythm. Bells mark time, not clocks. Most people cannot read, but they understand rituals, symbols, and sermons. In Rome, the Pope holds influence that extends far beyond the city. In Constantinople, religion and imperial power are deeply connected. In every city, life is shaped by belief. Housing reflects social status. The wealthy may live in larger homes, sometimes built of stone, with multiple rooms. But most people live in small, crowded spaces. Families share single-room homes. Work and living often happen in the same place. A shop on the ground floor, sleeping space above. Privacy, as we understand it today, barely exists. And yet, despite these conditions, cities grow. Slowly, unevenly, but steadily. Why? Because cities offer something rural life cannot. Access to trade, to opportunity, to protection. Walls matter. In times of conflict, cities become refuges. During Viking raids, people fled into fortified areas. During political instability, cities provided structure. They were not always safe, but they were safer than being alone. Over time, these cities begin to change. Trade expands. Population increases. New buildings are constructed. In Paris, expansion moves beyond the island. In London, the city spreads outside Roman walls. In Milan and Florence, economic growth leads to political power. By 1200, many of these cities look very different. Larger, more complex, more connected. The foundations of modern Europe are forming, but the past never fully disappears. Walk through modern Rome, and you still see ancient ruins integrated into the city. In London, the outline of Roman walls still shapes parts of the urban landscape. In Paris, the Ile de la Cité remains a central point. In Cologne, Roman and medieval layers exist side by side. Cities are not built once. They are built over time, layer by layer. And that is what makes the year 1000 so important. It is not a peak, not a collapse, but a transition. A moment when cities are rebuilding, redefining themselves after centuries of change. They are smaller than their Roman predecessors, less organized, more vulnerable, but they are also adaptable, resilient, alive. So when we imagine cities 1,000 years ago, we shouldn't picture silence or emptiness. We should picture movement, noise, trade, work, people navigating narrow streets, negotiating prices, avoiding waste in the road, listening for bells, watching for fire. It is not a comfortable life, but it is a functioning one. And from these imperfect, crowded, and often chaotic places, the modern city slowly begins to emerge.